are here. We are ready. We're gonna have so much fun. Of course,
we are back in true fashion with the starting episode 1 with a technical difficulty. You are muted.
Oh my god, dude! I put so much energy into that. Okay,
I know.
We're gonna just pretend it didn't happen.
Let's just rewind. Right.
We're back.
Take 2.
We're back for Sparking. I was at Sparking Zero. The Slot One Super Podcast. This is Slot One Super Podcast 2.0. There's some changes we have to talk about, right? I'm sure you guys could see the very, very obvious things and things like that. But I hope you guys, are gonna enjoy this episode, and thank you for your patience as we figured everything out. Of course, it wouldn't be a podcast with just me, as much as I'm sure you guys love hearing me talk. Mm-hmm. We have the masked Ningen, as always. Say hello, Ningen.
How's it going, everyone? Good to be back.
Yes, for sure. And then you may have noticed Dokkan assets look a little different. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, anyways, we have a new host. Of course, if some of you guys may be aware, Dokkan Assets has had to unfortunately step down from the Slot One Super Podcast. Best of luck to him in his future endeavors and whatever may happen. Maybe a guest again in the future. But because of this, we have went out and found a new host for the Slot One Super Podcast to help, fill the small gap left in my heart after Dokkan Assets, unfortunately had to leave. No, okay, but everything aside, we have Villuhfy, who has been a guest on the podcast before. Say hello and introduce.
Hello. Yeah, big shoes to fill with the loss of Dokkan Assets, but hopefully I can, fill in for him. I've already ordered about 1,000 figures on Amazon. I'll put them in the back as we go, and you guys will feel like nothing changed.
Yeah, eventually get like a wig for his hair and stuff like that,
I got to figure out some of the things that he did, so I can kind of stay in character, advise you guys to summon on bad banners and stuff like that. We'll be good to go.
Oh. Was that the one? Did we talk about? Was that what we talked about the episode that you were on? I can't remember which banner. Was it the Jiren banner? I can't remember.
I think it was the Jiren banner. Yeah, he was like saying it was a must summon or something like that.
Good times.
Is my audio low, by the way, or am I good, by the way? Because
I think it might have just been the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. The beginning is fine. It just happens like that. But yeah, for sure. So with, I guess, our little new Slot One Super Podcast revision, there's actually another change in regarding how we're gonna take things moving forward. And one of the biggest things is that we're actually going to be doing this podcast episode bi-weekly instead of weekly. And the biggest thing for that is because of the fact that it allows content to gather at a better rate for us to fully discuss things. It gives us more time to evaluate characters. It gives us more time for a bunch of different things. Once in a while, we may do an extra episode in case if it's something like anniversary or worldwide, and we'll see how the timing for stuff goes. But for the most part, it will actually end up being a bi-weekly thing.
Yep.
And that'll allow us to make better episodes and podcasts of the podcast for you guys to go ahead and listen to. Along with that, that actually, I think that's pretty much the biggest thing. Is there anything I'm forgetting, Ning? And I think that's pretty much the big thing. And
yeah, I think that's the main thing, because there was something else we were talking about which we then decided not to do. So we are. Yeah, we weren't sure of the idea of keeping it as a live show, because obviously we do have the VOD. It goes up on Spotify, which I'm going to be learning the ropes of because Theo used to do that stuff. So it will be back. For those of you who did mention, people were asking on the posts because the last few episodes I think didn't make it up to Spotify. But going forward now with the season 2, I guess you could call it, the episodes will be going up onto Spotify as well again. So that's something that you guys can keep an eye out for. But yeah, we will still be doing the show live, but it will be every other week, especially because it's one of those things, especially for me, I love doing the podcasts, I've missed you guys while we've been gone. But it's doing it every week for a year with the time zones that we are in. For me, the podcast is at 8 p.m. So it basically meant my Friday night, every week was taken up with something already in the calendar, right? So by doing it every other week, it means I have opportunities to do other things scary things like leaving the house or, just doing other streams or other projects. So yeah, every other week means we'll always have plenty to talk about. We won't have any of those episodes where we have a dead week, so we have to talk about like a banner unit for 25 minutes. So yeah,
Exactly,
overall we
right.
should have more stuff to talk about. Obviously, you guys will have more time to get in your trash takes and everything, which I should mention, of course, in the sorting everything else to come back for this week. We don't have a segment for this week, but we will have a tweet going up ready for the next episode. So you guys will have plenty of time to think of something interesting for us to discuss in the next episode. So
Definitely. So again, we appreciate your guys' patience as we figured everything out from our end in terms of like getting everything together, and of course, finding Villuhfy and making sure that he was down to also join us. And again, thank you very much, Vil, for hopping in because Vil's a good creator. I'm sure you guys again have seen him on the previous episode, but he definitely will bring an interesting spin to Dokkan and just the overall thoughts of how Dokkan, is like separate from what me and Ningen already have brought, right? But beyond that, I think it's about time we could just dive right into the show itself.
Yep.
Of course, before we continue on, just a quick reminder: if you guys do want to help support the podcast, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or not concerns, shout outs.
I mean, if you have concerns, let us know,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's also very important, right? But anything you want to say, we're going to read out all donations and super chats at the end of the show. And again, we appreciate you guys even for just being here. And I guess at that point, let's just move on to the first thing we should talk about, which is the character. I actually don't know if he's actually already out on Global. I believe so.
Is.
It is Roshi.
Yes.
So Dokkan Festival Roshi has released on the global version. Came, I guess, not really at a surprise because he was going to drop before the end of the year, but they just slid him into this week for new content on global because otherwise it's kind of a dry, deadish week. I'm sure some of you guys may have summoned already. I actually completely recommend skipping, being real with y'all. He also doesn't have pity, right? Because he was a pre-pity character, which is actually a little silly. I guess that's because they want to keep the green coins lined up, Global and GP. But Roshi does not have pity, so that makes it even sillier. But, go on.
It's just crazy because, like, I kind of get it because they have done stuff like this before. I can't remember what it was, where they'd introduced, like, something.
Leader skills for categories?
No.
Like,
Oh, no, let's not get into that. That could be a whole episode. I will always fight tooth and nail that was a W. But yeah, so there was something that they did before, I can't remember what it was, where they like implemented a new thing, but then because Global was getting something from the past where JP didn't have that thing, we just didn't get it, even though it had been implemented on something else. I can't remember what it was, but it's just basically that. It's like, implement this new system, pity for filler Dokkan Fests, then drop a filler Dokkan Fest, which is already, like, for a lot of people, considerably a skip, and then don't put on the thing that would probably encourage, like, some people to actually summon for it. Is actually crazy. Like, it's saying a lot that, like, as a content creator, I think I skipped the banner. I think this is the only banner I've, like, completely skipped this year.
Wow.
Yep, I did not summon at all. I didn't buy the tickets. I didn't use a single stone. I didn't summon at all. I used a friend to do the 55% showcase.
Bro summoned for Rose, but skips Roshi.
Hell yeah, Rose defender from day one. Let's go.
Well, where's he at now, buddy? Sorry, that was a little loud, but
Was
that
loud.
was funny to me. Thinking about Rose, dude, I slander him every day. Because I even slander. He's just sad, pathetic.
No,
One shot.
underrated.
All right, take him into Gogeta. Let's see. Anyways.
Wait, which one? I've beaten that event with his team. What are you talking about?
Oh, wow, you have. Well, okay, let me shut up then. Anyways, continue.
But yeah, Phil, you're.
I
I actually always
There's a
forget because
highlight.
obviously this is one thing, a new dynamic on the podcast potentially. Because I completely forgot. Vil, you are a global main as well, right?
no, I'm a JP
No,
guy. But,
I'm still outnumbered. God damn it! I thought the dynamic had changed. No,
No, so
Listen.
like, Bill has a global account that he does for a series, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
And
it. Okay. Damn.
And that series is my claim to fame. So I guess if you want to talk about YouTube, I'm a global main. But
Man.
If I buy stones, it's for the JP.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Dude, you're a free-to-play global player, dude.
I was gonna say the highlight of this banner, I think, for some people would honestly be the Frieza return, or God Goku, I guess. But I'm looking at it right now; it's no bueno.
No.
I mean,
Kid Goku, Videl.
you see, the thing is, go on.
That was the other massive L. I actually did summon 4, but I didn't go too crazy because that was during that time when loads of stuff came out for global. I summoned 4 but didn't get Topo, and on JP, Topo returned on the Roshi banner. So that was the only thing I was looking forward to for his banner coming out. Was that I was going to buy Topo with coins, and he's not even on the banner.
Welcome to the sink.
It's so weird that
Dokkan, let's go.
Yeah, because Topo came back in this banner. I would have thought that like Frieza would just return on the banner that Rose returned on for JP, which I'm trying to remember at the top of my head which banner that was. Let me actually take a look here.
Has Rose returned on JP?
Yeah, he should have.
He did on was he on he was on the UI Goku banner. I know that on global.
Oh, I don't think he returned on JP yet.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he has returned.
No, he has not actually. Yeah. So yeah, either way, I would have thought Frieza would have returned on whatever the banner is going to be. But I guess what's going to happen is Rose is going to return on the next Dokkan Fest banner for JP, and then after that, I think it would be what's it called, a Topo on that banner for global, because Rose already did return on the global.
Yeah, because obviously we'll talk about that a little bit later, but yeah, there's potentially something coming out like next week, isn't there? So the banners could be slightly different, I guess, right? And the JP one have Rose and global have Topo. But
I think that's what'll happen.
I don't know. I must have just got confused because when I saw Frieza on the banner, I thought Frieza had come back already, but I don't think he has. Right, for global, this was the first time.
Yeah.
He was on the UI Goku banner on JP.
Right.
Yeah. So either way, definitely a skip. I mean, Roshi is good, like in a vacuum. But the issue with Roshi is I don't think his team is necessarily like that. That you have UI Goku's rotation, but then after that, it's kind of like a rotation of like Videl, EZA Videl, which is good. She's a good character, but she could get cleaned up as well, pretty easily. Low-key. She's kind of dodge or die in a lot of situations. I like Roshi as like a floater support character. But honestly, as like a Dokkan Festival leader, it would be nice if he was, I think, a little stronger, or maybe it sometimes could be ran in a slot 1 situation somehow. Maybe like on the active skill turn, what if he gained like guaranteed dodge? Imagine that. I mean, he's already doing so much in his active skill, but I think something where he could, I think, or at least maybe the team better, or another slot 1 for the team would be really helpful. Because the only slot 1 option on his team realistically is basically EZA UI Goku, and then Tech UI probably in the future, because Tech UI is still a 70% dodge character, so until he transforms anyways. And you don't want to split the two, EZA UI and Tech UI, so I think that's the issue with Roshi that's really coming to mind. But if his team, you would think Turtle School is a lot like of a stronger team, but we'll see in the future what's going to happen like that. Right?
I think the issue with him, what I was saying in like when I've talked about him on my own stuff, right, is the fact that I feel like one of the better versions of his team, where you can include all the like UI Gokus and stuff like that, is like you could just build that under a different leader and build basically the same team. So Roshi is good, but he's definitely a unit that you don't need to have, right? So
yeah,
he is definitely one of those like fairly easy skips, I would say, considering.
And at that point, he's just like a floating support character.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's definitely solid, but I feel like he is an easy skip, to be fair.
And it's a tribute to what you said, right? Where it's like you want to run UI Gokus. It's like, especially if you're on JP, imagine it's like, do you want to run Roshi as a leader, or do you want to run AGL Jiren as a leader, or do you want to run superheroes, right? Do you want to run Beast Go On, or do you want to run Roshi?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you're already running the UI Gokus, like why are you not just running a Reps of Universe 7 team, essentially? Like, yeah.
Right. Yep. I've said that if you summon on this banner, like I want your phone and I'm putting parental lock on it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think that's the other thing as well, being in that position where, like, I mean, there's some stuff's just come out that hasn't necessarily been super hype. Like Vegeta, we're obviously going to talk about the Namek Saga characters and stuff. And then Roshi drops as well. And then, of course, as we said, there's potentially something coming out next week, which is a complete unknown. Like, yeah, I feel like it's almost ticks every box for being a pretty easy skip, I think. So, but yeah, solid unit, but yeah, you definitely don't need him.
I think if your only excuse is this is my favorite character, then it's probably not a good banner or something. Like that's the only excuse you can.
Yeah, because that's the banner is just not good either. Like in terms of the featured units that are still like meta relevant, like it's just not a good banner, unfortunately.
Is what it is at that point, right? But it's very sadly that the first OG Dragon Ball Dokkan Fest besides Kid Goku, and technically it's actually no, both of them were Kid Goku anyways, but and he's kind of like that's the thing with like how they buff teams sometimes is them dropping them in patches is nice, but then sometimes they just like abandon it, and then that sucks, especially if it's not a big enough patch. Like we've been getting some Dragon Ball Saga stuff recently. Easy Demon King Piccolo, LR Grandpa Gohan, Master Roshi, the Bona and Bulma, actually the Tech Mai and the it's just a Tech Mai specifically, right? Because she came out with
the Peppy Gals banner.
Right. Yeah, but like I don't know, DB Saga itself is not really going to be that good of a category until the future. So I mean, who knows? Maybe one day it'll get like a double LR like part of a celebration or something.
Did you mention Golden Week?
That's okay. Golden Week wasn't double LRs though.
I was just saying, like in general, because you were talking about Dragon Ball Dokkan Fest.
Oh well, I mean, I was talking about more so the category.
That's the annoying thing, because they don't count as DB.
Oh right, because the Boyhood Saga. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, Boyhood Saga, right? So unfortunate for them.
Right.
We'll see what happens though. They should just make a actual. I wonder what would happen if they make an actual like Dragon Ball Saga category in JP. Like, what would they do in Global? Would they change the name of the old category, or like what would they do?
Right.
Who knows? Beyond that, though, we do have an event that's coming to Global already, and that is the Heroine Battle. Was that stage actually already out in Global?
Yeah, it's like the first. We got the first 3 stages. So.
First 3, okay. I mean, the stages are interesting. I think, of course, in the future, you guys will be able to get all the way up to stage 9 for Bulma, and that's kind of like the big thing. Yeah, stage 9 with Bulma, because there's still Launch, Bola, 18. I think it's Videl, Mai, and then Bulma is at the end right there specifically.
Pan's in there too.
Yeah, but Pan's the first one already out.
Oh,
right?
You're talking about the next batches, okay?
Yeah, the next batch of characters. Actually, I'm taking a look here. Let me bring up the page. The next fights for Global actually drop tonight, and then on the 31st, the last 3 stages drop. So that's when you could expect the next few. These fights are somewhat difficult. I think they're obviously more gimmicky fights than anything. Talking from like my experience of playing them on GP, some of them could be a little annoying to clear because it just depends. Like, you have to do a certain amount of super attacks, you have to collect a certain amount of rainbow key spheres. But overall, I think they're fun. I think that they're interestingly designed, and the fact that they're different than just like, go in with best team and win. Yeah. Like, in a sense, I think you have to think more about your team building. I do like it in that regard. So,
took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna say you can't just beast Gohan it and be done.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned it in the comments for like one of the videos I did for the first 3 stages, but it's like it's an interesting, even though the stages aren't like particularly hard, like I guess that's kind of the way it goes, right? When they release a new set of events like this, the early ones are normally quite easy, but it's interesting to have stages where you have to do something differently rather than just power creep, right? So it's like the new event comes out and now you just have to bring in the best teams or you don't win. It's like you have to bring in teams that do a specific thing. Because like I didn't really plan ahead very well. So like I did the first attempt on the Pan one and I only brought like 1 Rainbow Orb Changer on the team. And then I was like, got a feel for the stage. But it's like, okay, this is quite easy, but I just need to bring more Rainbow Orb Changers. And then you get it done in like a couple of turns. I was kind of surprised that the Ramfan one was stage 2 because I thought that was even easier because it's literally just super attack 3 times in a turn for 3 turns. So, especially because the missions involve using like Peppy Gal's characters. You've got characters like Videl, Launch, there's a few others, but that have a bunch of additional attacks built in. So that was really easy. And then I can't remember what the gimmick for Chi-Chi's one is supposed to be, other than it just says she can't be stunned, but hers is just a straightforward, like, you just beat her kind of thing. But yeah, it was interesting that they were something a little bit different. And obviously for Global, we know, all the mentions of the Bulma stage and being one of the hardest stages on JP in the current climate. Like I say, I didn't realize it was stage 9. I thought it was like a normal EZA and there was going to be like 6 or something. But of course, it does literally say in the news as I'm looking at it right now. But yeah, the fact there are 9 stages. But yeah, so certainly interesting for them to do something a little bit different. So pretty straightforward because Chi-Chi has the damage threshold thing as well. Yeah,
I was going to say that. Yeah,
a certain amount of damage. I don't actually know what that is. What the actual damage? I think I worked it out mid-run that it's somewhere around 500,000 because I think I had a character do just over 500k with a crit, and then without a crit they did 0. So I think it's around 500k. But
500,000, huh?
Yeah, which I mean for a Peppy Gal team, it's not too bad. But yeah, was it
right.
10 million or something for Goku Frieza? But yeah, a bit interesting, something different. So yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, fights are fine. When you go into the Bulma fight, I do like that you could stun her at the end. Even though I know she's like obvious, she will hit really hard if you don't like bring stunners or attack lowers, but the thing with Bulma is I ran into there with the Broly team one time, and he just stuns her, and I'm like, oh, cool. And it's like, she can't attack me. I'm just saying, I was there day 1 for Broly, by the way. Everyone was doubting me. I was like, Broly is a goated. He could sit in slot 1 and just, like, not die. And, like, he just doesn't die, right? I was defending that man. People were like, he's not even top 10. He sucks. No, you are wrong. You just don't know how to use the character. Goodness. You know what I mean?
So, Minito, I have a question for you then. So you took him into a gimmick fight and then said he's top 10?
Yeah.
That was your argument?
You see, the thing is that every fight has gimmicks now. Gimmicks.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like every different fight has gimmicks now, right?
Yeah.
Goku Frieza has gimmicks. Just, I think at this point, just because a fight is like has a certain way you could beat it or like could be stunned or something like that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gimmicky. It's just that you have to use different kind of setups to beat it. Or else again at this point every fight would be a gimmick fight by that definition. This is not like 20 where it's like, oh, the hardest fights in the game or all can't be debuffed or stunned or blah 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 blah, right? Even I guess in 2020 it's like Super Battle Road was pretty much the hardest, right? But I think let's think of more like Red Zone. I think like Red Zone, where it's like 2022 essentially, where like most of the fights can be attack lord or stun or anything. But now it's different. So there we go. That's my answer for you specifically, Villuhfy.
Oh, sophisticating.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, man. Do not downplay Int Goatly.
The thing is, I would be all on board with being on the Int Broly defense force from day 1, except he wouldn't show up in my summons, so I don't have him.
Me too.
Well, you know what, Ningen, just use him as a friendly.
There you go.
You have Tech Broly. I know you do.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I have to do. But it's I want him just because of some of the extra characters that are on his lead that aren't on the Tech Broly lead. But...
Well, I honestly, I think the thing more important is that with double and Broly lead is what you want to do because you could have the domain up for like 3 extra turns.
Yeah,
that is huge. Like if you don't have if you're using in Broly as a friend lead, it's gonna be like not like as good. Obviously, right? Because with in Broly as your leader, it's like his domain is like up throughout the entire fight. In shorter fights is always up. In longer fights, you just have to wait a little bit and they're weak at the start anyway, so like you don't have to use your domain instantly, if that makes sense. Like Goku and Frieza, for example, you have the tech 17 phase, don't have to use the domain until the physical 17 and Frieza phase, then you use the domain, you get his guard, and it lasts for the rest of the fight. So
yeah,
there you go.
That's that. But yeah, no, that's it's enough for me, just like slurping it, Broly, dude. I've been slurping it since day 1, man. Well, not day 1. Day 1, I was kind of like, but then I used them. I was like, pog. Anyways, next we could talk about, we'll talk about the Namek Saga celebration we just got.
Oh boy,
we have
put my suit on.
pretty much in October, right? So, I mean, let's just start with the obvious. This celebration was completely massacred. They did not do Namek Saga justice. I think that most of the units released are underwhelming or have very oddities to their design. The team they constructed is not even really a team. Where is the support? Like Kui. What is Kui doing? He's just sitting there. He's just a dodge or die character. We don't. Hey, Namek, what does Namek Saga have? Why does Namek Saga need a dodge? Like,
what's wrong with that?
What do you mean? What's wrong with that? Shut up. No, it's like literally. You look at the team. It's like okay, the last okay, we had Goku versus Frieza for that worldwide. Then year 7, everything's ass. Like it's being completely real. I'm not even gonna censor that. Everything's bad. And then we got Ginyu. It's like the Ginyu team is good. And then what do we get? Easy Ace. Yeah. Oh, wait, LR. This is so stupid. LR Ginyu came out. Oh, LR Ginyu. He wants to be ran in full special pose. And then later on, like 4 months after, they're like, hey, let's introduce a Namek Saga team. And they have this all planned out from like 2 years ago. But then they didn't sit down and think, hey, wouldn't this Ginyu be good on that Namek Saga team that has 0 usable characters? Wouldn't that be great? The new LR that like is on the category but literally cannot work on the category. Like, wouldn't that be so funny, guys? It's like, the LR that could provide the one thing that the team is missing, which is support and good support.
Yeah, like I completely forgot because they added that Namek Saga mission for the Frieza like red zone, and you have to do it in 7 turns. And like I completely forgot when I put them on the team. It was like, oh, yeah, if you don't have full Ginyu Force or full special pose, like they can't actually even use their active skill. So it's like they just don't work like on the Namek Saga team unless you make a team that is just the Ginyu Force.
It's absolutely dumb.
Yeah, that mission was a pain in the butt as well, because like beating the stage with the Namek Saga team wasn't difficult. It was beating it in 7 turns. Like, because you basically have to 1 turn the first 3 phases, otherwise you're just not going to do it, because it's like a 5-phase fight. And so yeah, I ended
that's
up
the other thing. It doesn't have damage. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I ended up having to use like a friend LR Ginyu Force, and then fortunately I have the LR Ginyu Force, and then basically just run a Ginyu team, and they were pretty much the only units like doing damage. I mean the Tech LR can do okay against like the AGL phase, but like yeah, it was tough. It took me quite a few attempts to actually do it in 7 turns. But
isn't it you can't use support items?
And you can't use items either, yeah, because otherwise you just use the like attack up for 5 turns or whatever, right? But like, yeah, it's the funny thing about this is like it shouldn't matter that it's like a filler celebration. It's like if they're gonna do a celebration that's themed around a saga, the point should be that like once that celebration is over, that team is then like a fully fleshed out, like usable in the meta team. And yeah, I mean I guess we've kind of broken it up with the release of Roshi, but like we're at the end of this celebration now, and Namek Saga is not suddenly a good team, right?
Vegeta, they released Vegeta as if he's like he's the floating support of the team, when he's the brand new leader, a first leader we got for the team in almost 3 years, the first Dokkan Fest for the team we haven't had in almost 3 years. And guess what? He's just a floating Rainbow Orb Changer unit that tanks pretty nicely. He does nice in Goku and Frieza, but like the other stages that released, like what is he really doing? Like he's doing 5 mil attack stats start of turn. Like he, the other super thing is the orb changing. The whole orb changing is stupid. Because
yeah, why would you make a premium unit release that like his only real mechanic, like obviously he has some additionals and stuff like that, but like his mechanic essentially is that he's a nuker. But then you make it so, but he can only get so much like stats. You can only pick up this many orbs, and then everything after that is basically wasted. It's like, why? He only orb changes once in the entire fight. Like, it's not gonna... He wouldn't suddenly be the #1 TUR in the game if on that turn where you could pick up all 23 orbs, he got a buff from all 23 orbs. Like, that would make him a much better unit, but it wouldn't, like, suddenly make him the best unit in the game. So, I don't understand why they put that restriction on him. It's so weird.
And then the active skill doesn't even hit hard because he has to grab the orbs.
Yeah, because he's a nuker.
And
Yeah,
I think the idea is that that's why they gave him the 50% attack on the active skill, which bumps his numbers up quite decently for sure. But it's like we don't need a character that is good once on turn like 5, 7, 6, or whatever it is, basically depending on where you get him, because he has to do the certain super attacks. Like we don't need a character that's like, oh, he builds up and he's floating around as a rainbow orb changer. Like for the brand new team as the brand new leader, we need someone who could slot one and hold the team down, right? Especially early on, because all the rest of the team builds up. And then when the rest of the team builds up, maybe he could fizzle out just a little bit. Especially since he's also AGL, that'd be fine for Goku and Frieza. But it's a thing of like, kind of think of like Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? That came up for Golden Week. I think he's like a good leader card where he's like really strong early on, and then he does build up, but then by that time that he loses his fizzle, a lot of the other characters in the team are looking good, right? That's I think a good thing or a good trait for a leader card, but he's not doing that. And he has 20% stacks, which is also really stupid. Like I just and then I don't know, Kui also frustrates me because it's like the most special thing about him is his scouter. Like where's his support? Why does he not have support? Like, what even
Why
got
does
me
he
at more like literally
okay?
though, he doesn't even link with the rest of the team. And then we see Goten and Icarus Jr. come out.
Yeah, they
have multi-turn support.
They are straight up just better than Kui, and they're a farmable free-to-play unit. Like
they have multiple turn support, but why can't Kui is a brand new character? Why does he have support?
You don't understand. He has a scouter that would break the game if he had support.
Yeah, that's true, man. That scouter, yeah, the scouter with all the amazing tanks and Namek Saga.
You know who else had a scouter? Bardock.
Hell
Dude,
yeah!
I'm just like.
Tech Bardock, my goat.
I would say, and it's like the sub EZAs are good, but again, there should be additions to the team. But like full power Frieza is like the only slot one that holds the team down. I would say, and he's not like a crazy slot one. He's just a good slot one. Nail, look it. I'm gonna have to stop before I just get into every single character. Look.
Gonna have high blood pressure.
I like Nail.
I know. Namek Saga,
I like the Gohan,
and he's in.
I like the Gohan and Piccolo. They're good. I just think that Gohan has the Ageo Vegeta Blue situation where his passive runs out, and sometimes you may not be able to exchange to Piccolo, and then he's like kind of sitting duck at that point. It's so stupid. Okay. Also, the EZAs kind of suck, but anyways.
They also released Gohan and Piccolo with a pretty fatal flaw, did they not? It was something to do with like the Namekian.
Oh, aren't they changing it or something?
They are
that's
changing it. That's why I didn't bring it up.
Right.
But like, it's weird. It just because obviously they released Nail. It's more so an issue on Nail's end where the Nail was released obviously designed in mind to be used with the Gohan and Piccolo, but because of how exchange characters work. And how they didn't even I guess think about it. Obviously, Gohan's not a Namekian, so they're changing it so that Piccolo will actually activate. I think that category restriction essentially, which which
is weird because it's like they're changing the way their exchange cards work specifically for that one card because they messed up with. Like it fit. We joke about it all the time. We've joked about it on the podcast before, but like we make those jokes about do they even actually play their own game? Like, do they test their own game? Like. With his EZA, Nail's EZA, like everyone could be forgiven for looking at that and thinking, oh well, the Part 2 LR must be Piccolo, because why would you give this Nail an EZA where he has to be run with a Namekian and a character whose name includes Piccolo to get his full passive? But there are no relevant Piccolos on the Namek Saga team, so the Part 2 LR must be a Piccolo. I thought it was going to be a Nail exchange into Piccolo, and it is an exchange into Piccolo card, except it's Gohan, so he has all the hybrid Saiyan categories and stuff, which means he doesn't work with Nail, which is just weird. And it's how did what is the communication in the departments that design the cards that they're this is what we're going to do for Nail's EZA, but he's got no relevant cards to be run with, and then here's the Part 2 LR. And he doesn't work with Nail. So yeah, Villuhfy, what do you think? Let me know. I want to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on the Namek
Yeah,
stuff, because
Bill.
Minato's too invested in the Namek Saga. He's too emotional.
I was gonna say, I mean, what base did Minato not cover?
I mean, the EZAs. I left that for you guys today.
Yeah, I know that people seem to be like lukewarm on Vegeta and Goku, and I know that they have some damage that they can put out, but overall they're not like great. And I know that a certain Dokkan YouTuber was, screaming from the top of the mountain that that's the best revive condition in the game for the new, or not the new, but the Vegeta and Goku.
Wait, really?
But a Truth tweeted something about it. It might be another character. I know he was talking about.
I don't know. I would say the revive condition is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not
under 50% under 50% HP, or from the 5th turn.
Like turn 5, the fact that it has a turn restriction with no HP restriction is really good, because obviously in the current meta it's very easy sometimes. If something goes wrong on a turn, you just get one shot from full health, and a lot of revive characters don't have their revive up unless you're like below a certain amount of HP or something, unless you're like Blue Evolution Vegeta, I think is the one I can think of.
Think about
awesome.
Won't be awesome.
It would be awesome if, like, the new Vegeta actually was good and slot 1, and like you could run a rotation of the characters. That would be pretty cool.
Just a crazy idea. The Namek Saga team could have been pretty good if they did that.
Yeah, thinking about like how to build the team in a good way. I think it would be awesome.
Ningen brought up like, what's the communication? I think I could spoil it and say that there isn't.
It just seems
this on the
like
back burner. They're just like, you know what? Like 10th Annie's getting all the time. I'm sorry, Heroes is getting all the time, and then the 10th Annie's going to get the next.
Hell
amount,
yeah,
right?
Heroes. Let's go.
They just
That's why. Hey, look.
I don't think they thought about the cohesion for this team at all.
I mean, I'll just say right now, Villuhfy, I know is joking, but at the same time, if this celebration was an absolute dumpster fire, so that the upcoming hero celebration is absolutely awesome, I will take it.
Send it out.
I will not. I will not.
As the Heroes fanboy, I will take it.
I will literally. I hope Heroes is bad now.
And so Minato, this sounds to me like you really like this celebration. That's what I'm saying.
I hate it so much. No? I had to summon for Scouter Vegeta yesterday because I did. I did have to summon for him because
nobody made you do it.
I'm a Namek Saga lover. Okay, if I leave the celebration without like a new Namek Saga buff after I've been talking about wanting Namek Saga buffs for like 16 years, like I would be a fraud. So
doesn't it like
they're not buffs?
I was gonna say, doesn't it work the other way around though? Like you want Namek Saga buffs real bad, so the fact that you then didn't summon for this guy shows how bad he must be, right? Like
you see, the thing is that like I need to have him for when we get the actual Namek Saga buffs.
And then we'll be. That's it. It's all a secret plan. Like we'll all be laughing when the crazy they decide to do the thing for. They did it for Gohan and Cell, didn't they, randomly, where they EZA'd them at New Year's. So, like, at New Year's, when they EZA Full Power Frieza and Namek Goku, and then drop their sub-EZAs at the same time, and then the Namek Saga is, like, the best character in the game, then we'll all be laughing.
And then year 10 is going to be Super Saiyan Goku versus Frieza, clearly, right? And then this, like, we'll have Vegeta as a floater as he's intended to be. That's their plan. Like, they're not going to leave Namek Saga like this, guys. Come on. You think? No, it's fine. Trust.
Someone bookmark that.
Trust me, Namek Saga in the next 3 months announced. Trust. Okay, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen by January 28th. I will see. Someone's calling me. My bad. I will see. Namek Saga buffs.
Amatsu's calling him. Like, stop leaking our plans for Namek Saga.
No, but. I don't know. The thing with these EZAs also is I think they're actually a little better than people are giving them credit for. Just a little bit, teeny tiny bit. But I think that they're also still not good enough, considering that they are worldwide celebration LRs. They are worldwide celebration LRs, even if they're Yellow Corn LRs. Just like how 17 and Golden Frieza and Team Universe 7 were anniversary LRs. Their EZs
and they're really good. Yeah.
Their EZs are both better than I think these two characters.
Yeah,
and I got me thinking about something.
Like Tech Broly is probably better than these characters.
Yeah, I would say he is.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
because that first turn he could get caught really badly, but when he's transformed, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like these guys don't have something like that. I don't know.
Plus,
I
their
think
design, there's like the Gohan and Krillin can be kind of fun, but there's also, again, I feel like a weird flaw in their design, like when using them, because they stack before they get their costume change. But because they have a couple of extra ways to get like additionals now, if you get the like, I guess quote unquote best, because it might not actually be good, but if you get like the best RNG, they can super 4 times on turn 1. So then they costume change straight away on turn 2, and then they don't stack anymore. Like, ideally, you want them to super like 3 times on turn 1, and then 3 or 4 times on turn 2, and then they transform, and you've got like some extra stacks out of it. Whereas it seems kind of weird. Like if they still stacked when they transformed, and just everything they did was slightly better, that would be like really good design, because it's like if you get that RNG, you get that transformation early, and it benefits you.
Why don't they stack after they transform?
I don't know. Yeah, like
it's just like, what's the point? Like their defense is not like 2 million. They're like a sub 1 million defense. Like before they super attack essentially, and then they have to like they're a 70% dodge unit that has to super before they dodge, which is like if these could dodge 70% in slot 1 and they're a stacker permanently for the rest of the fight, it's like, oh, you know, that would be cool. You know what would be also really cool? Maybe if their active skill gave them like guaranteed dodge in their passive, like when using active skill evades enemy attacks. And then it's like, oh, even if they don't stack, it's okay because of the fact that you know, I have guaranteed dodge, right? And it would be less bad. And it's like, is that really a big thing? Like, even if it's just in their post costume version, I think would be fine as well. Like post costume version, you use the active skill that gives you guaranteed dodge.
Like, yeah, because like Trunks has the same sort of active skill, like animation wise, right? Pre and post transformation, the Tech Super Trunks, but it has different effects, right? Like one has a just an action break and the other one's a Ghost Usher. But yeah, that would make them significantly
they just would have
better.
To add it.
It just seems like it's a running theme, right? With all of the units from this celebration, is that they just have a slightly like, it's like they just left something out for some reason when it comes to their design, right? They're not quite as good as they could have been with just a few, like some minor tweaks, which. It's one of those things. It is a, like I said before, it's like a quote-unquote filler celebration, but that's not a good reason for units to have seemingly like glaring omissions from their kit. It's just very strange.
I would say they still gave this more love, honestly, than like the Roshi team overall. But like the Roshi team had UI Goku's on the team, and he has a much stronger leader skill. And he doesn't start from 0. I think the issue is that this team has started from 0, but then they treated it as if it had like a decent base. Like when it doesn't, it's like a literal 0 team, and it became like a, I don't know, a 30 team out of 100 or something.
I also think it's
I would
tough.
say like 50, but still.
I think Frieza Saga is kind of tough to get like all the buffs in as well, like because you know we think about specific like episode kind of buffs, right? Like I know I'm using like Legends terms, but like the Buu Saga is only such like a vast team because of how many characters are and stuff like that, right? But like when you think about the Frieza Saga, like it is a very diverse cast, right? We have like a highlight of a Namekian, and then Frieza himself, who's obviously his own thing, and then the Saiyans are Goku and Vegeta, and then that's just about it, right? You have like Zarbon, Dodoria, and then Kui. Obviously, I mean Kui is dodge or die. That's good enough, right? But
I think the issue again is that support would help this team dramatically, in a lot of different ways. But there's like where there's literally no one here is supporting you besides Nail, and it's like you're not always gonna have Nail in like every single rotation. First off, like that's why multi-turn support is super
and the
important
support unit, one of the support units being that, and obviously he's not usable one bit, but that Tech Piccolo that orb changes, that banner unit, that's like like I'm like I know he's really old, but I'm like that's the support unit, right?
Yeah. See, the thing is like you know what's also really stupid? Like post exchange Piccolo, he gives super class 70% defense, right? But like the leader is extreme class, Kui is extreme class, full power Frieza is extreme class. Like half the team is extreme class. Like did you have to restrict it to super class? No, you did not. It's like no point. It's like that's like a turn 5, turn 6 thing, or turn 4, turn 6, whatever it is. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore.
In your kit rant, something I think you kind of glossed over was the way that they did the Vegeta banner, where they introduced the new pity system, right?
Yeah. 10 minutes.
But with that pity system, it's like, okay, we're going to give you guaranteed pity on Dokkan Fest, but we're going to throw as much garbage into the banner as possible.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thousands
10 featured units.
Right.
Oof.
And the featured rotations are nice. I mean, like, you know, global, especially Ningen, I know you could speak to this more than most because of, you know, you being a global player. Like, those anniversary step-ups, like, pretty crazy, right? Like,
Yep.
I saw a take on Twitter during that part 2 not having those anniversary step-ups was as bad as global lowering the rates. I'm not saying it. I didn't say
That's a
it.
whole other thing. It's just not even. I don't even want to. That's worldwide.
Yeah.
That's last month, man. Look,
No,
for
that
this.
was anniversary.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't do whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares at this point? I would
Lens.
say. I think making it 10 featured is stupid.
Yeah.
But I would rather have the pity.
And
Yeah,
the
no,
guaranteed
I
featured
agree.
steps.
Yeah.
Features. Like I think people overblew it a little bit, but it's still very stupid. Because the reason why people overblew it is because it's an issue for truth, and truth is like, oh, there's an issue.
Yeah.
Which I think obviously for truth it's an issue because after you get that guaranteed copy and the guaranteed feature steps, if you're still need more copies, it's just going to be a lower rate that you get them. But for like literally every other player that's not giving thousands of dollars on each banner and rainbowing every month, it's like it took me I think it took me like 500, 600 stones to get Vegeta guaranteed with coins because I was able to trade in characters for coins as well. And then I was able to get 3 Quees. I was able to get multiple transform Vegetas. So like, you know, I was able to get some stuff.
The best way to put it.
And that one of those could have any of those could have been Vegeta, and I would have done already. So like, I think that it is worth the trade-off.
I would say it is an absolute no-brainer. Like if you have 8 featured units, no pity, 10 featured units, pity. I mean, I'm going for the pity one like every single time, right? And also there's the added bonus on global. The added bonus on global with the purchasable ticket packs, like the legendary summon one, they do actually give you some coins as well. So if you are a spending player and you try out the tickets, and they don't come through, you already have some of the coins towards the pity, so you end up spending less stones overall as well.
Can you exchange those characters?
The ticket ones you can't. No, I think that's why. I think that's why, to try and like sweeten the deal, they give you like the coins with the ticket summon, because you can't trade in the units that you get. So it does help out a little bit. It works out really well on legendary summon banners, because like, I think with a legendary summon banner, if you buy both the ticket packs, you get like 60 coins. So I think I have ended up with the SSRs you can trade in, getting to pity in like 400 stones. But that's obviously after buying the purchasable tickets. But that's an extra benefit for global as well, that you can get those extra coins. And as we said, like, just sort of circle back and underline it, like the fact that they then released the Roshi banner with no pity, like. And that, I imagine there's got to be at least a couple of people out there that would have summoned on the banner if it did have it. And like, yeah, I don't know why they didn't just put it on there. Like, I know JP didn't have it because it was before they decided to do that. But come on, when you're throwing extra banners at global, you know, you can sweeten the deal a little bit, right? Put the system on there. But...
I feel like low key, it's because of the featured units. It's like, you know, we didn't have
true.
it's
only got a few features,
so we can't toss pity on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to note that, like, even with the W change in the system, that doesn't mean that, like, you know, that this podcast fully endorses that you summon on it. It's just a positive change moving forward.
100%. And it's like I said,
that's a question I got to answer all the time.
Yeah, and it's like when people discuss the worldwide pity, like, and all that, the fact it was so many coins, but then it was the counterpart was because it was spread across all 4 banners, all that kind of stuff. Like, I defended it a decent amount, I would say, but the same thing I said at the time is, doesn't mean it's perfect. Like, the systems could absolutely be better, but as like an OG player, like the number of times I've had to go, like in the past, well over 1,000 stones just to get 1 copy of a character. Like, I will absolutely take a bad pity system, like, quote unquote, like that could easily be improved over not having one at all, right? So
I mean, yeah, we're a decade into this game, and it's something we've been asking for like as long as I've been around, for like 4 or 5 years. You know, so pity system's always been a topic of discussion. So, you know, they flirted with it on legendary summons, but now we've got it on Dokkan Fest. So it's just a process, right? And like you said, over the course of 4 banners, especially if you're like in a position where I think on worldwide I spent like 1,700 stones and ended up having enough for the pity. So like those rainbow characters, they add up.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is why you don't re-roll.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly that, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah, it
could
makes a
save you.
huge difference.
It
It could
does.
save you like hundreds of stunts actually.
Yep.
I guess depending on your luck too, but
Mm.
that is Namek Saga. Bad.
Great
Anyway,
celebration. 10 out of 10.
next we have the new version 5.23.0 updates.
Hell
At
yeah.
least that's what Villuhfy has it listed as. Let me make sure that's correct.
It might be 0.1 now. It's
Let's
I think it
0.23.
is right. I
Let
don't know.
me see. I will be the judge of this. I don't know.
I
Why I'm
opened
like,
up Dokkan Info News when I wrote this. So
look, okay, you know what? I trust you. Yeah, it's 5.23.0. I don't know why I had to check, but whatever. Anyways, biggest thing is it made the game easier for beginners again.
woo.
I think I saw a lot of people talking about, oh, the character's not really that great. I don't really care, honestly, personally, and the reason why is because this is obviously something designed for people who are brand new to the game. I think version Z Goku is actually pretty decent for a free to play card. Super easy A, right? So we'll definitely take that. But yeah, what are you guys thinking about, like, in general, version Z Goku and the new free to play Satan Saga team?
You started it pretty well. I mean, you said right for beginners. I think I like how streamlined this process is with the Greatest Warrior board, because I think a lot of people, like, they would have no idea to start the game and then go do Ginyu and Bardock, right? Like, because that's usually like, and I contribute to, like, some videos that I've done that have had a lot of people like, thank you for this, right? Where it's like you open up the game, it's like, now what, right? It's like, oh, you got to go into the growth tab or whatever, go do the Ginyu event, go do the Bardock event. It's like, well, how the hell do I do this? But when we have the Greatest Warrior board, it's like, oh, okay, how do I Z-Awaken? Press that button, go do it. And then before you know it, you have a whole team with characters that they give you all the copies for. I made the mistake of farming the characters in the first thing, and then I found out, I found I'm like, oh, I didn't even need to do that. And so, for my 0 to hero stuff, like because I did it first on JP and then on Global, I went and did it, and it was like, oh, I didn't even have to play an event really. Like I had to go do like the Roshi event or whatever, but nothing too crazy, right? So a much more streamlined process that makes it easier for beginners, and that's always important because the game, the more accessible it is, that means the more people that play it, which means the more likelihood that there's continuing players, which means there's more likelihood that people might spend money, which means that the game lasts longer. So I no thumbs down for me for that. And if you think that these free to play characters that are designed for characters or for people who literally just started the game yesterday are supposed to be competing with the likes of Beast Gohan and LR Kamehameha Gohan and the trio, it's like it's not realistic.
100%. And the thing is, like, the units aren't bad. Like,
no,
with the we have to consider that they're free to play units, but like, it's not the hardest event in the world, but like, to showcase the team, I did the Red Zone Freezer stage. And like, it was easy. Like, I would say, I mean, obviously, there were probably some instances where on turns a super in the wrong spot could have been death, but like, in terms of how the run actually went, it was kind of easy. Like, with version Z Goku as the leader, and then using like a friend Gohan and Piccolo, because obviously if you are a brand new player, in certain events those guest friends do come up where people have used them to complete the stage before. And yeah, the team like works really, really well, and it does exactly what it's designed for, right? Like, Goku is the leader, you get a full set of the units, and then realistically that team is for newer players. You start up, you get those missions done, you've got yourself a team, you summon on like the next upcoming, like whatever the big banner is you want to summon on. And that was the biggest problem. Like, I know people that have started the game like recently-ish, in the last like year or so, whatever. And it's like, okay, I've pulled some of these units, especially when you think how many LRs there are in the game now. It's like, I've pulled all these units, but like, now I need to awaken them. So I need to actually be able to beat their events consistently multiple times. But I've just got a box of like unawakened SRs. Like, what am I supposed to do with them? And like you said, not everybody knows, oh, well, you can go and farm this whole of team from this event, although you can only do one of the stages per day. So it takes you like the whole week. And don't forget one, otherwise you have to wait till next week. And then you get the LR that is the leader for the team. So yeah, now everybody gets this full team. And then you summon on a banner, you get some units, and then this team will crush their Dokkan events. And then you get all the medals you need, and then you're good to go from there. Like, and Goku is an all-times lead. He's a support, so as you start to awaken some of your summonable units, you can still keep him as a leader. Start throwing some of those units on the team until you start having stronger teams to run. So I think everything I was actually like, we meme on Dokkan all the time, and we clown on them when they do things wrong, and we'll joke about how they do things wrong a lot and stuff like that. But this, I was like, no complaints whatsoever. Like, pleasantly, very, very surprised.
He gives a
very
lot
impressed.
of stones.
Yeah. I do appreciate the fact
Yeah.
that as a longer term player as well, like so many of those missions just auto complete as well, which is nice. Right?
Shout out to the complete the tutorial mission.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah. You
Was
were
that a bug
punished.
only at global? Or
was
that-
above. It was
Yeah,
both.
you were punished for playing the game too much because it was if you'd logged
Yeah.
in after reset but before the maintenance, then it didn't work. But obviously,
Oh,
fortunately,
that's what it was.
yeah, fortunately for me because of the
Yeah.
time zones, like the reset is at 1 o'clock in the morning. So obviously, I was asleep, woke up in the morning, and obviously couldn't get onto the game until the maintenance had finished anyway. So for me, it just procced straight away, which was nice. But
So what you're saying is if you're not about the grind, then you didn't get it, right? You were busy sleeping. I was busy grinding.
exactly, but it
Well, I
paid
just
off
logged
because
in
the
for
mission
something.
completed for me straight away.
Hey,
But yeah, I made the
it
same
is what it
mistake.
is.
Hey,
so that's
as they say, this slow turtle wins race. What was it?
slow and
Oh,
steady.
yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Slow and steady wins race. Yeah.
But,
Tortoise in the
um,
hair. Come on, dude. Lock
Hey, you know
it
what?
up.
Shut up. Anyways, continuing on. I think we talked about this pretty well. Unless you guys wanted to actually see something.
I mean,
I
I'm
think
interested.
something-
I want to get a chance to try them out a bit more as well, because like it would be interesting to see how far you could push this team and like how. Like,
I'm taking them into Gogeta.
Well,
I mean,
there is,
Gogeta would probably be a bit scary, but at least some of the
Wait, I
earlier
wonder-
stages of
could you
some of
be
these
Bulma with
stages you
this
probably
team?
could do.
Oh, the Rainbow Orb Changers?
Chaozu.
Chaozu does if there
once.
is a TN around, right? Yeah, which is
Well,
kind of
Chaozu
weird.
once.
Yeah,
One.
once.
Chaozu does one time.
I mean,
So-
until you know once isn't enough.
Look. We'll find a way.
I was gonna say we didn't talk about the core gameplay changes that they did. It wasn't just the Greatest Warrior mission. They changed. We can check info on enemies, like typing stuff before a stage. Like you can. There's like a whole HUD
Well, I
for it
mean,
now,
you could
right?
already. You could technically already.
But
do
now
that
it's
before,
visual.
but now it
right?
looks nicer.
Yeah, now it's
So,
clean.
like,
Yeah.
It's like-
visually, please, you get a good idea. Which wouldn't really be an issue unless you're on JP.
yeah. Well, guess what? There's
'Cause,
two
like,
of us
global-
here, pal.
Yep, exactly. So for us,
Yeah.
it looks pretty cool. But
And the character action count.
oh yeah, so like you could see.
That's super
wasn't
cool.
was that not the previous update? Or was this update then? Huh?
That was this
I
one, yeah.
think I wouldn't
Yeah,
just
so, like,
Mhm.
You could see how many times a character has received an attack, attacked, done super attacks, dodged, right? Which is really nice in terms of like being able to see, okay, my character is built up or something like that. They need to make it so that you can see when you guard them. That's really it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That'd be
think the
great.
biggest thing is like RNG passives is still a big thing that I would love to see because like there was a unit. I'm trying to think who it was now. It was super recent. Was it one of the World Tournament EZAs? I think it was. I think it was like the Physical Mighty Mask. And like I remembered it because Icarus and Goten have the kind of thing as well, where they have that extra chance to get an extra attack buff. But the thing is, when I did the showcase for it was for Physical Goten and Trunks, I did get to see the difference in the Icarus one today. But when I did the showcase for the Physical Mighty Mask, he did the same attack stat every single turn, which means he either got the buff or didn't get the buff every single turn. But I don't know which one it was because the game doesn't tell you. Whereas at least if you get one turn where he
Just
gets
do
it
Dokkan
and then
Battle
one
right
turn
now.
where he doesn't, then obviously you know because the attack stats would be massively different. But yeah, because he got the same one every time, it means it either activated or didn't activate every time. But I don't know which one is which because it was just the same one every time and the game doesn't tell you. So
Being fair, since it's a medium chance, I would assume that it didn't.
I would assume that it didn't, yeah, for them. But yeah, it's just kind of annoying that it doesn't give you those kind of indicators. But I do, like I say, the update is really good. I like being able to see that stuff, especially for characters that need to have done something a certain number of times. And then if you have to make a decision at the start of the turn, like you might only want to put them in a certain slot if part of their passive is activated. And now you do actually get a way to know that for sure. So that is really good.
But yeah, that's pretty good changes, right, to this new version update. I do like that quite a bit. We were talking about a little bit of the RNG passives, but today we have Prime Battle Goku's Super ZA. Well, not specifically today, but it came out like last week with their update and everything else that came out. So that is the first. Well, actually, yeah, that's the first Prime Battle or just free to play character that has gotten a Super EZA. I think I said version Z Goku Super EZA earlier. That was a normal EZA. That's my bad. But this LR Prime Battle Goku is actually a super EZA, which is really cool. I think he looks pretty good. He has a little bit of an RNG passive to him. But actually, I think I was the one who translated his details when it first came out, because the global version doesn't ever post the details.
Let's go global.
Yay. I hope someone needs to go to that 10th anniversary meetup, and if they're like, okay, now you could ask questions, like, please.
Yes, somebody out there, if anybody watching the
can't
podcast
go.
gets to go to the fan meetup thing, please ask them
It's so
to tweet out the EZA details in English. Like, what are they doing?
It's so silly, because I'm most likely going to go to Battle Hour, but I won't be able to attend the actual thing because I don't have a global account that I could get top 25% in for those specifically. And even then, if I did, it's only a chance. I would love to be the one that does translations like half the time, just to be like, hey, hey, I got a request, buddy. Okay, no, just look Amatsu dead in the eye. You know what I mean?
Minato, let me speak on something just for a second, right? People like to give you flack for your translations, right? There are people like, no, Goresh, don't leave us with Minato.
Not
right?
anymore.
That used to be a thing.
It used to be like
right?
a joking thing.
I was going to say, and I don't like that, because Japanese, it ain't easy to read. And especially translate it, like, there's professionals that get flack for it. Like, for, like, manga and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. We
Not
appreciate
good.
you.
Rocket is so true. The passives where okay, let's talk about it. Where
the slot
on the
passives,
global version, they're always like as the first attacker, as the second attacker, even though there was a distinct wording change on the JP version from as the first attacker to as the first slots. So when I did my translation for the Super Saiyan Goku specifically, I can look at my highlights tab right here. If you take a look here, what did I exactly put? Or like first form Frieza, I think it's a big one right here. I put when this character is positioned first in the turn. I think for Prime Battle Goku, I'm gonna look this up specifically because I think I use a good wording. I forgot how good wording to use for it, which is not really, it's not even that bad to come up with the wording for it, man. They're just like lazy. Yeah, I put when this character is placed first or second in the rotation or in the turn, whatever it is. Either way, like it should be when this character is placed first in the turn or something like that, because that's how it is. Because it's not like as the first attacker, like because there's passives like the Old Age Burger where it's like as the first attacker, and then like his dodge doesn't activate until he attacks after being in the first slot. But they changed that. Anyways, they don't differentiate that in global, and it makes me annoyed. But I don't know, it was brought up. We're getting off topic here. Let's talk about Super Saiyan Goku. So the thing about this guy is I actually think he's pretty decent for a free-to-play LR, and ideally you actually end up running him in slot 2. What do you guys think about him? Let's go with Villuhfy, actually.
To me first, huh? I think that one of the, again, from the aspect of the creation I do usually, is that getting to this guy is quite a pain, especially with getting the EZA in the first place. But I will say that, if you get the EZA and then you do the Super EZA and you do all those units that you got to farm up for it, I think you're rewarded pretty well. I like the way this guy works in slot 2 and slot 3. Has some really good categories. I wish he had a 7th link, but I don't think it's really the end of the world. Because you just think about characters, right? Like it's like that's something that the Super EZAs haven't changed at all, right? Like starting back with Super Saiyan 3 Goku, like just the 6 links. But hey, slot 2, slot 3, free to play support. I've seen attack stats in the upper 20 millions and stuff like that, and it's kind of tough to get that on a free to play level. You could probably go higher. Haven't had a ton of time to really use this guy just because Dokkan is Dokkan, right? But also just from it just playing events isn't really the stuff that I'm doing these days. When I'm playing this game, I'm trying to, cover into information. But overall, I think he's really good. And for a free-to-play character, I think he's going to work out well. And that gives me a lot of hopium for Frieza. I think Frieza's going to be really good, too. Because if you look at the timeline of releases, Prime Battle Goku got his EZA and was like, holy hell, like, this is a really good character. And then Prime Battle Frieza came out and we're like, is this guy just, like, top 10 in-game? Like, without, like, with summarables?
I remember that, dude.
Yeah, because, like, you ran him with Cooler and stuff like that, and he was hitting, like, 7-8 million. You're just like, what is this?
He was really good, man. That was crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I hope that he ends up being as good as he was.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for his Super EZA.
I don't think he'll be as good as he was, but I hope he ends up being good. For sure, I think that Frieza. Let me try to think of other like free to play LRs. Let me see, like
Roshi.
Yeah, I did a video. I made a post
Roshi-
asking people to comment like who is your after Goku, like who's the most anticipated free to play LR, like Super EZA. And loads of people mentioned Frieza. Loads of people mentioned Roshi because obviously he was like when he came out, like hands down the best free to play unit in the game. An interesting one that people mentioned was the Zamasu Goku, because wasn't he was like the first LR like free to play
Fifth year.
EZA, but like
Yeah.
he sucked. Like he even like after releasing, he just wasn't that good. So him getting, because he's the only version of that like Zamasu we have in the game, like name wise. So him getting a Super EZA and actually being good would be cool.
I think a bad thing about that character, he was like supposed to be marketed as just like something special for the anniversary too, right? Where it's like he was the first. I think objectively speaking, he was the first LR EZA ever, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He was.
And-
He was the first LR EZA.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. I think another LR actually I would really like is the LR androids.
Mhm.
Yeah.
17,
good
18,
one.
Yeah. They got some
21,
mentions. Yeah.
because they're like a really good support character for Extreme Class.
Yep.
Game 4 key to Extreme Class was insane back in the day.
How old is their EZA though? It's not that old when you think about it, right?
Their EZA came out
Year-
2020,
Yeah.
January of 2022.
So
Okay.
is that on the JP timeline or global?
JP. Oh, actually, no, that's on the global timeline. Actually, let me bring up on.
Gotcha. So late year 6.
Let me see. This one was December 9th, 2021. They came out with the tech androids. I mean, the tech androids could EZA like any point now.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like imagine like an Android 18 Dokkan Fest, tech androids EZA, then LR Android Super EZA.
Oof,
That'd be pretty fire, actually.
that'd be
I
pretty
think that
good.
would work pretty well, for sure. And they'd all be extreme class, so you can get like extreme class androids back. Ooh, fire! Wait a minute. Okay. Dokkan, I know you're watching this. Like,
Oh yeah.
like somehow there's a Bandai Akatsuki spine here. I know it. At least sometimes.
Well, you
Dude,
did get a phone call during the show.
Exactly.
Dude, I was like, hey, don't tell him. Anyways, Super Saiyan Goku. I think he's actually just overall a good character. Nothing crazy, but does leave me helpful for future Super EZA free to play characters.
That's the thing, is like any of these characters, you have to look at it with that caveat, like that it is a free to play unit. So like he is very good, but if you're ranking him up against like the top summonable LRs, then obviously he's not quite that good, but definitely very, very good for a free character. I mean, like Villuhfy said, there is a bit more work that goes into getting him than just like a farmable free to play unit, but yeah, he is pretty solid. And I just think it's cool. A lot of us like actually had speculated, myself included, like that he would be the first LR to get a Super EZA, because it's very fitting being that he was like the first LR. I remember back in the day, like, because obviously I started the game that long ago, actually doing like the OG farm for him with the Super Strike characters and stuff. So him being the first Super EZA character is definitely fitting, and he's pretty good.
I think there's something important to note with that though. Like, you know how we were just talking about how excited we are for Frieza, right? You have to have Prime Battle Goku's EZA done to EZA Prime Battle Frieza.
Yep.
So if you're somebody that hasn't done it yet, like even if you do it like slowly, like make sure you get it done, because you're gonna want. I think honestly, like Frieza is probably gonna be the best of that bunch, but we'll see. Right? But
I mean,
again,
if you Super EZA Goku, you like demolish that fight. No. For sure.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah,
What do you mean
could be
you
fun.
never know?
I didn't even hear what you said fully. I'll be honest.
Dude, I said if you Super EZA, if you Super EZA the Goku, you demolish the Frieza fight. You're like, oh, you never know.
Yeah, the
Like,
Frieza Extreme
yes.
Z fight, because you have to have Goku EZA'd. Well, obviously, at this point, you could have him EZA'd and Super EZA'd. So yeah, he would just be crushing that stage, which would be good.
This guy's like,
Well, you have to have it unlocked to even go into the event, right?
I think so. Yeah.
All I'm saying is just like make sure you finish him. That's it. Because literally you won't be able to do it if you don't.
Can you use the? I'm guessing because you can farm them from stages, even though they give you the missions. I'm guessing you can use the new Saiyan like Saga team in all of these like Prime Battle events and stuff, right? Because then again, that's another big bonus for new players, right? Like get this team all like done, get them all awakened. You get orbs for them from the missions, and then jump in and do the Prime Battles. Get this Goku. Like it's definitely a really good time like to be a newer player with how much more streamlined all of this stuff is. So definitely very good.
I would agree. From there, though, we do have our last thoughts on the worldwide listed here, and we're just going to talk about like just in general worldwide and shenanigans, because I don't think we had like a episode where we like gave our final thoughts on the
I don't think so.
celebration.
Yeah.
I think that worldwide overall was good. I think that they pulled through at the like, last minute with the Namek Gogeta fights.
Mhm.
I think the only thing missing was like if we could have had an extra Extreme Z battle with the sub EZAs, or at least
Yeah.
the sub EZAs coming out, would have been nice. Besides that, the only other miss I think is like TUR and Broly.
Yeah.
But again, you know, I want to hear from you because I know you're a huge Broly fan, right? Aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I was
Like,
running a little bit of Int Broly defense. I think he's obviously not that great, but I do think he was maybe a little bit underrated. Like people were just saying he's straight up trash when, you know, he could be all right in some stuff. But yeah, he was definitely the worst of like the bunch. But I think out of the entire, like everything about the worldwide celebration, everything that they did right, everything that they did wrong, I think the one thing most people would agree on is that all of the summonable units were really good, right? Like the 4 main units and then like the EZAs outside of Int Broly, all really good. The problem was with like the content and the spacing out of the content. And I have kind of always been one of those people where like if a celebration feels, I don't want to say bad, but like if a celebration feels underwhelming, feels a bit dry, and then at the very end they drop like one event that's really good, I don't get the switch up of like, oh well, actually the worldwide was fine because Gogeta and Shinemba fights are cool. It's like they are cool, but then at the same time they're also weird because they are very much almost like sort of maybe like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison. I was thinking maybe Cell Max on release, I'm not sure, but like there's like a few teams that are good in those events, and every other team and every other unit just gets absolutely crushed. So like even though it can be fun to do them with the super strong teams, I don't really feel like those events are that great either. And I think it's weird. We did, I think, talk about it on the last episode where we were talking about worldwide, but like we had the I always get the name confused because I go to say Memorial, but it's the Memorable Battles movie edition, yeah. Where like the ones from the anniversary had the fights against like the Gammas and Beast Gohan, Broly and Gogeta, where they were like multi-phase fights. And at the time when they dropped, they were quite hard, like in the meta. And then all the worldwide ones, they were all single phase fights, which like even the first, like the Gogeta and Janemba are obviously the last two. Even like all the ones before them just felt like really underwhelming and like quite easy, which I mean, again, I was obviously probably doing them with good teams, but yeah, I don't know. I think the worldwide overall just felt a little bit disappointing, whether it's due to how the content was spread out. I mean, someone was joking the other day on Global because they've sandwiched all this stuff in the middle for Roshi and basically dropped all the content for his celebration. This like last week or so has had more content than like the last week or two of the worldwide celebration. So, which is kind of crazy.
That's
but
kind of funny, actually.
yeah,
I get it. I think during the worldwide, the feeling was like, I think that it was nice that they pulled through at the end, but they could have done better with that in terms of like having it, I guess, be a consistent thing, right?
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows the reason why they decided to do it like they did? Can't really decide on that, but I did like it overall. I thought that at least I think the unimportant thing that people aren't pointing out is that the actual main Dokkan or Dokkan Fest and Carnival LRs are all really good, and they introduced pity for them. Like I think that's huge because if you take a look at the year before, some of them had like just oddities to their design. So
yeah, to go from like, you know, to go from the memes that still live on to this day, right, about like AGL Vegio, well, the AGL Blue Boys more so, but like, and then yeah, all 4 of the worldwide units I would say were all like hits. They're all W's. So yeah, very, very good.
And there's one that we didn't really talk about that much in this episode. I think it was Int Broly.
Yeah, I've heard he's all right, but you know.
Bulma fight kind of gives him trouble though.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but I think he said. I think honestly, like, despite not being like number 1 of that group, I think Tech Broly is probably my favorite of that bunch. Just a really fun character.
Super good, yeah.
I think my favorite is actually Super Saiyan Trio. I have the most
Yeah,
fun.
both are fun. Yeah, all of them are fun. Like,
That's
there's
the thing,
not
yeah,
one
they're
unit
just
of that
they're
bunch
all
where it's
good
like,
and they're all kind of different, right? They all have a sort of
Mhm.
different role to a certain extent, and like it was
Yeah.
super fun seeing like running some of these other units with the trio. Like there were characters like some good examples I think are like Bulma, Orange Piccolo, and then to a slightly lesser extent because he's still kind of dodge or die against the tougher bosses, but like even Physical God
Mhm.
Goku being run on those teams with the double trio, like I mean, imagine that, right? A unit that was super good, only just starting to age out, and then you throw them on a team where they're getting like 154% extra defense. It's like, oh, all of a sudden they're actually runnable against like these tough fights again. So that was really cool
That's
to
true.
see. Like any characters that were just starting to drop off a little bit, like just starting to age out for the meta, and then they could go on the physical trio team. Like they're instantly back up to being like usable again, which is really cool. And then yeah, obviously Family Kamehameha, awesome animations, does insane damage. Broly, you get that cool like turn one invincible tank, or if you want, you can just transform him straight away. Then you get loads of damage reduction. The next turn you use the active skill, so you're always going to see it. Does tons of damage. Like yeah, all the units super fun. It's just unfortunate for me. Like I say, my part 2 summons were really bad. I did quite well in part 1, got both the units, and then was already over halfway to the pity. So the goal was basically just go into part 2, drop all my stones on the Broly banner, because all the stones I had at the time, that would get me to pity. And so ideally, pull Broly in the summons and then just get Gohan with the pity. And unfortunately, I did not get Broly with the summons. And I basically thought, with their leader skills, I feel like in terms of which character it's better to have in your box versus like which one you can get more benefit for using as a friend, I thought it was better to pick up Gohan with the coins because Broly is more versatile as a friend. Whereas like Kamehameha, it does have good units on it, but running a full Kamehameha team is a bit more like restrictive. So unfortunately for me, it now means waiting until well the anniversary basically to be able to get in Broly, which is a shame. But yeah, all 4 units really good. So.
Wow. Yeah, but at least you have a lot of carnival coins probably that you could just use for him. That's cool, right? But Bill, did you give your like specific thoughts? I think I heard you say some of them, but not really like fully.
Yeah, I try and squeak them in when I can, right? I felt that the pacing. I mean, I feel like we always talk about this, right? Like it's like it feels like every like celebration where it's like everybody's got their suit on, right? The anniversary and worldwide. It's always kind of like, damn, the pacing of this is so slow. And maybe it's just because like you have the overwhelming urge to do everything right away, get stones as quick as possible, so you can do your multi summon for these highly anticipated characters. But you know, I feel like that's always been an issue for years where we talk about the pacing. But Minato, you said it really well. Where I won't name names, but and again, this isn't like a YouTube or anything, but I saw like a tweet saying like, you know, this celebration went from a 6 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 after Gogeta got an EZA. So you know, they try. I think that I just don't understand like why you want to make like the general narrative like this was an underwhelming celebration and then just try and drop a bomb on us like that. But
yeah, it's
hey,
just
they gave us technically a new best unit, right? Like because everybody wants to put Gogeta at 1 after he transforms, but
yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying it's what they gave us.
I think that I honestly it like I don't think the 2 fights and the EZAs don't change anything because I think
They
they're
do.
obviously
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah.
But I think like overall in terms of the celebration, it shouldn't make like a make it or break it.
It
Yeah.
doesn't make it from like slightly above average to literally perfect, right? Like
Yeah.
it just helps. My camera froze right in the middle of that sentence, but
yeah, that's what I was kind of
Sorry.
alluding to when I said about it before, right? Like it's happened in the past with celebrations, a whole bunch, but like a good EZA or a good event dropping definitely obviously improves a celebration overall. But like, yeah, you see people complaining that the celebration sucks, and then they drop like one really good EZA, and then it's like, oh, actually this celebration was a banger, and it's like, well, not really. Like it was an underwhelming celebration that had a really good EZA in it, like, you know. But I think worldwide overall, content wise, was a bit all over the place. But you know, the characters, I suppose, it's weird because like I was gonna say for a gacha game, the characters are probably the more important side, but then obviously, as someone who enjoys playing the game, and I guess maybe it is more so focused around content creators because we play the game so much, but it's like, I want good new characters, but then I want more stuff to do with the new characters. And obviously for global especially, being stuck in that position where we don't have like the Bulma stage, we don't have the last stages of the Universe Survival Saga Blue Zone, so we don't have the Goku and Frieza stage. It's like, okay, well, we've got in Broly and he's really cool. I guess let me run like Blue Gogeta and Beast Gohan like Blue Zone for the 700th time, right? Because there isn't anything else really to do with them, which is a little bit of a shame. But yeah, the units were good. It'd be interesting to see how it goes down, because people will often rewrite history when it comes to celebrations and stuff, and people will switch up on characters very quickly. It'll be interesting to see in the future, when we're like maybe 2 worldwides from now, whether people think this one or the one with like Vegito Blue was actually better overall. Because I feel like last year's one had a lot of interesting content, but the units were the ones that were a bit shaky, whereas this time it's kind of like the opposite, right? So it'd be interesting to see how that goes down in the future.
Minus the Red Zone Merge Zamasu stage, it felt like the Red Zone for the Dismal Future is literally like the same fight 4 times.
Yeah.
Or it's just really quick, and then it's just like, oh yeah, here's the slot 1 like casino, right? Or it's like a simulator just opening rotations with the Zamasu fight.
Yeah,
so
that's
like,
Zamasu,
we got all these
crappy
crappy
Red Zone, which was like the menace of the game, especially for global, waiting to get like
Omega and stuff
what
like
was
that.
It was like, this was the hardest
Omega,
event in the game for like 9 months, and it was just a horrible
Oh,
I've loaded into the game
either.
and he's AoEing me in slot 1, and I don't have a slot 1 unit on the rotation. Guess I'm dead. And you didn't have infinite attempts then as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, well, just remember where we've come to, right? Like,
exactly.
Like, but yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Like you said it, I think you said it well, but like Divine Wrath and Mortal Will did help out. That event was fun. I didn't like that Vegito fight though. That Vegito fight, the no item for that took me forever. But
oh god, yeah, with the attack lowering and stuff, yeah.
He just knew when to super.
Yep.
You know, he just knew.
I thought that event was, dude. I took GT bosses. We could.
I was going to say one of the few events, that gets to be the GT bosses victim. I will say I did like
Cell Max with that one.
I did like, I should say, the whole thing with like the bringing certain characters like buffs or debuffs in that special Broly event, and then they weren't exactly cryptic like needing to solve a riddle or anything, but the mission didn't specifically say like bring Goku. It's like bring the golden warrior that the devil is obsessed with or whatever. Like, still, I thought that was cool, right? It just adds a little you open up the mission and you're like, okay, well, I know who that is, but it's cool that it doesn't just straight up tell you. But then obviously one of the missions is to beat it with a Super Saiyan Goku on the team, which then makes the fight significantly harder, which I think is really cool. So I did like that aspect, like with that Broly event. I thought it was weird the way they did the Bio Broly one though, because like the first two were similar with like bring different characters and he either gets buffed or debuffed, and then the Bio Broly one was like you have to use a specific item, which if you don't use, like he doesn't even have a second phase, you just win like after phase 1, which is that was a bit weird for the Bio Broly, because I tested it out because I did them like I think on stream, and I was like, wait, what happens if you don't do either, and you just win after the first phase, but then you don't obviously complete the missions. But yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. I like it when they do different stuff like that. So that event was quite good. Plus I do like as well, even though the memorable battles thing again like wasn't the greatest event, I am liking this thing going forwards now, because obviously they kind of started it with the 8 year where they dropped all the stages for the previous units, and then they did the same with the anniversary for this year. But I like this whole dropping these special events that then give you unique EX orbs for the new characters. Like, I think that's really good, right? Like, Gogeta and Janemba got their EZA, then the stages dropped, and then you beat those and you get, like, skill orbs for them. Like, obviously for older players, you might have some decent skill orb investment in those units already anyway, but I like the fact that they did that, because obviously with the anniversary, especially with the 8th anniversary, for global players, you knew that event was coming. So if you pulled the LRs in part 1, then it's like, well, I don't want to put skill orbs on them because I know at the end of the anniversary I'm getting these EX orbs for them. I mean, you could put other EX ones on them, I guess, and then switch them out. But the fact that they were dropping them sort of consistently as the new units were coming out, I thought that was really good. So hopefully they continue to do that for the big celebrations as well.
That'd be great. Yeah. No, for sure. No, I think that there's a lot of good changes made in this worldwide that a lot of people, I think, didn't really, I guess, like try to acknowledge, or like, because they're minor changes. It's like people didn't really pay attention to them, but when you add them up together, it's like, oh, a lot of these like little smaller changes actually ended up being pretty cool, right? I think it's a big thing that people could also maybe consider a little more, but yeah, worldwide, I think was overall good. So that is a great thing about this content in general. I think even though we're in a little bit of a lull period, it's gonna probably start picking up relatively soon. I know I saw a lot of people asking about Heroes. We don't know when that's gonna be exactly, but
Yeah.
we'll keep you updated on that, right? Just keep a lookout. Because the reason why we haven't had Heroes news yet is because the fact that usually there would be a anniversary stream that would happen every year, but since Heroes is not a thing anymore, there's actually no anniversary stream this year, so there's been no reveals of the new characters or what we're gonna do. At least we know Heroes is coming, is the biggest thing. But we'll see. We'll see what's gonna happen. I think that they're probably just gonna announce them in November. So from here, again, we don't have any trash takes this week. Whenever we come back in 2 weeks, we will go ahead and do the trash take segment. So keep a lookout for that tweet. But at this point, we're going to go ahead and read your questions and donations you gave out to us. So again, thank you guys for that.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I think we got we got a couple of gifted memberships from Philip Rodriguez. So shout out to you. We got one here from Drace with the $5. Says next Dokkan Fest exclusive is base Kaba with the EZA for Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Sources, trust me, bro. Yeah, getting in on the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta versus Kaba memes. I think wasn't that like immediately the like first like what if sparking like custom things that people had made.
Yeah.
That was actually something that I did want to say, which I completely forgot because it's not on the rundown. But obviously, we know we're gonna get the next Dokkan. Well, I say we know we're gonna get the next Dokkan Fest for Global and JP this coming week because obviously the Roshi, we were kind of tipped off right that something was going on Global because the sales for Gohan and Piccolo ended a week earlier on Global than they did on JP. But obviously, that means the JP ones are going to be ending soon, which means that we should see the newest thing released. Do either of you guys have any thoughts or speculation on who you think the next Dokkan Fest exclusive could be?
Oh, I will say, I do think that the Dokkan Fest teaser could be tonight.
Okay.
So, yeah, either tonight, right, or they release it the day after with the actual details. Because there should be a data download like in 2 days, essentially. I'd say tonight, but for a lot of you guys, it's just tomorrow, essentially. But for me, it's like tonight, right? My guess is different than a lot of people. I'm putting in my guess is a fusing Goten and Trunks into Gotenks.
Ooh.
That's my thought of what's gonna happen. I think there's so there is a support memory for Videl that is like in the data, and that support memory looks like it has like a support memory awakening coming. We know that there is a new stage added to that event this week because of the Halloween celebration details. So they're adding a Majin Buu Saga support memory that's getting buffed. That could literally be unrelated to it potentially, but I'm thinking if they're gonna do a Majin Buu Saga Dokkan Fest, I think the fusing Goten and Trunks would be pretty cool. Especially it would help the existing Goten and Trunks EZA that just came out. That's my idea.
Yeah, the fact that we still don't have a fusing Goten and Trunks is kind of crazy.
Yep.
Villuhfy, what are you thinking?
I'm trying to think in this brain of mine. As Minato was talking, I'm going to go into the Buu Saga. Let's go with Mr. Satan from the Buu Saga.
Okay.
With some type of assist from Buu, like the free-to-play unit. We'll just steal it straight from Legends.
Who would EZA for him? Super Saiyan 2 Angel Vegeta?
New Year's Eve.
Let's
I
go.
was going to mention that earlier in the episode because we were talking about the Part 2 worldwide EZAs. And I was what about the unit that came out a year prior?
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. They just like skipped him out completely. I love that unit, or did obviously on release. He's not great now.
And the Part 1 units beforehand. Like,
again, they're saving those Majin Buu Saga EZAs So I'm thinking that Majin Buu Saga will likely get a bigger celebration. So I think it just might not be Majin Buu Saga at all. It could be something
Yeah.
completely unrelated. But if it is Majin Buu Saga, I think a Gotenks would be cool. I'm thinking like what would be a Majin Buu Saga celebration besides Super Vegito, right? At this point, Super Vegito
Yeah.
Buhan, maybe year 10. Who knows?
Well, year 10, Super Vegito and Super Gogeta. That's what I was gonna say. They're
right.
saving those EZAs.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And then we get Super EZA for AGO Vegito, Estero Gogeta. Kind of crazy.
Could you imagine?
Yes,
that
sir.
like, insane combo of like the STR Gogeta and AGL Vegito Super EZA, and then like Int Janemba and Int Buhan like Super EZA. That would be insane. Like, I could definitely see fusions being like 10th anniversary. Saiyan Saga Dokkan Fest, if it's because it is still technically, again, using that quote unquote like the filler Dokkan Fest. It's obviously not going to be like a new Super Vegeta or something like that, right? I could see fusing Gotenks, I think, is a really good idea. I could see like a Great Saiyaman or some other version of maybe like a new Ultimate Gohan, maybe. But Ultimate Gohan was the Part 2 LR for Golden Week. So I think it's tough for Buu Saga because I think the only characters sort of left that don't have recent iterations are the ones that you think they would save for like big, like something big, right? Other than characters like Great Saiyaman, maybe. But
what I would say is this time spot in 2020 was where Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta released, which obviously was very random, but
time for Giru.
Yeah, time for Giru. Dokkan is Giru, right? A lot of people are saying Super Saiyan 2 Great Saiyaman.
It could be interesting.
Or a banner unit.
I mean, because they've done him like a couple of times already in different versions. So we got the World Tournament one. There's the physical one that EZA'd that's not that great. So having an actual Dokkan Fest one could be kind of interesting. I mean, I want something Buu Saga related because I'm still shocked that they did not EZA Tech Majin Vegeta and in Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku like for Golden Week. Those are like two of my most wanted EZAs, and they're from the Buu Saga, and we didn't get them with the last Buu Saga celebration. So definitely would be looking forward to something like that. In terms of what I was thinking for Dokkan Fest, I mean, I think it's really hard. Like, unless going by some of those things, like you say, there are certain things in game that you could say are potentially like clues. But otherwise, now I feel like it's so hard to guess. Like we're in this kind of period now where it could be anyone, right? Like if they hadn't posted the hint with like the fireworks at the end of that producer letter, like how many people out there would have been like, oh yeah, the next Dokkan Fest is like a Namek Saga Vegeta? Like probably nobody, right? So I feel like it could be almost anyone. In terms of units that would be good for it to be, especially with like we were talking about the Nail EZA and then like the way the Piccolo like exchange and stuff, like will we finally get a Lord Slug Dokkan Fest? Maybe that'd be kind of cool.
You know what, Garlic Jr.
Garlic Jr. Yeah, someone mentioned that recently, like Garlic Jr. the like a transforming one, right? Kind of like the one we have now. The SSR is the base one, and then the Awakening is the like buff one. Have that as a transforming unit, and then we can get the EZAs for AGL Gohan in Garlic Jr. and that in LR Piccolo and Goku that we know is coming at some point because they had that thing in the files for their SA-15 Super Attack thing.
Animation strip.
Yeah, so...
Whoa, SA-15?
I think it's 14.
Man.
Sorry, yeah, 20... Well, I think it's 20. It's 14 or 24, isn't it?
Probably
like the Super Attack actually changes, yeah. And that's something that we've seen in the files has happened before, like when a unit is then going to get an EZA. Although I feel like that was a while ago now. So the fact that it hasn't actually come out yet, it could be.
I mean, it wasn't in August, so we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I'm still always, as much as Dokkan likes to mistreat them, I'm still always on the extreme class train. So something like Lord Slug or Baby, like something that has, a unit that has all of those categories and good link set that would actually be a really good buff to extreme. That's the kind of thing I would like to see. Although we don't want it to end up like another physical Turles or STR 7 Super 17 where we get an extreme Dokkan Fest and then they're just not very good, right? So I don't know. But yeah, I guess we'll find out soon, and by the time we do the next episode we should hopefully have that unit will be out. We should hopefully have some news about Heroes, so That is the good thing about having the little gap between the episodes now. Tons of stuff to talk about. Hopefully, as long as we don't all get shafted, like we'll have actually used the units as well a little bit. So yeah, we will have to wait and see. I think they've had a trend for the last few some of these releases of dropping the news on what is like Sunday morning for me. So a little over, it'd be like a little like 36 hours from now ish. Like
I think that's when we'll see the details for the units. But we could see the Dokkan Fest teaser in like less.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's been Sunday morning. It's been like the Twitter stuff. So yeah, it's normally the 48 hours before we get the thing that's like a new Dokkan event is coming. So
keep in mind, this doesn't mean that the Dokkan Fest drops on 29th. I just think they're going to release it regardless because of the fact that that's going to be the data download for this week. Even if the Dokkan Fest drops on like the 30th or the 31st or something, they're still going to reveal it before the data download. Think of like how some Dokkan Fests are put in the data early, right? It just depends. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and then obviously when it comes to Heroes, news could be at any time. Just to add on to what Minato was saying, like the anniversary live stream for Heroes was usually around the 22nd or the 23rd. And then based on last year, I went back and looked at my videos from last year. And I think it was like the 28th was when they posted on Twitter. Because obviously the stream revealed Limit Breaker for Geo and Rose. And then they showed that Metal Cooler and Janemba would be awakening. So that meant we knew 4 of the units. And then they tweeted out the other 3 on the 28th. So within the next couple of days, we could see, because obviously without that live stream now, I'm assuming they're just going to post all of the information for all of the characters on Twitter because they don't have the anniversary live stream anymore. But yeah, that's obviously something that we'll be looking forward to. One thing to think about as well is obviously every year the Heroes banner has been a few new characters and then the ones who get awakenings, whereas now they all have awakenings, which means every single unit on the banner is going to be a new character. So very exciting stuff. Looking forward to that. But yeah, that was it. Only a couple of messages for today. But I think, are they doing a Divers stream? I know Prof just mentioned it because obviously Divers has taken over, but Divers doesn't have, as far as we know from what we've seen so far, Divers has like
just yet.
Divers has like the player characters that are like the equivalent of Beat and Note kind of, but everything else that we've seen from the Divers promo stuff is just all canon stuff. So we don't know like if they are going to have any of these crazy what ifs or anything.
I mean, there's no way that they're not eventually.
You would think so, right? Like, but yeah, it would be a shame for that kind of stuff to go away. It's like, especially because if we got, they finally we finally got Super Saiyan God Trunks because they decided to take him down that path instead of giving him Super Saiyan 4. But then we never got to Super Saiyan Blue Trunks, which is something that I was looking forward to from Heroes. But I guess we will have to see where it goes because obviously we know we're getting a Hero Celebration this year, but who knows going forwards. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But
for sure. But does that be it for today, Ningen?
That is it, yeah.
All right. Well, there we go, guys. Want to thank you all for stopping by for this week's Slot One Super One podcast. Of course, we all missed you, and we're glad to be back. Seems like we got another donor that just came in. $5 Canadian dollars, actually. Thanks for the episode, dudes. I also spent too many stones on Roshi. You have a sending problem. Hey, man, you know what?
Villuhfy's coming for you now. Coming for your phone.
Look. I feel sometimes you might like Roshi, man. It's okay, right? To like a character that you want, but at this point, you should probably just save your stones. Anniversaries only, again, global players' anniversary is 3 months away, right? You got November, December, and then at the end of January, that's 3 months' time. So you got to start saving your stones now because they're really hyping 10th anniversary up to be huge. So, I mean, it's 10th anniversary. It's going to be massive.
I mean, just think about Beast Gohan and then just like remember there is no way, there's like 0% chance, right, that the 10th anniversary units are not the new best units in the game, right? So
I mean, I would say there's no way 10th anniversary isn't the best anniversary ever, right? In Dokkan history. So save your stones. You will not regret saving your stones. But besides that, again, someone like Roshi could always come back, and you could always even get him with coins if you want. But these anniversary characters, will be huge. And there's also pity. You want to save at least what 2,500 stones. So it is a hefty price to ask, but if you spend 2,500 stones total across all 4 banners during the anniversary, like even if you go into just 1K stones, you'll likely get enough stones plus the coins that you can
from the
exchange
anniversary.
that'll guarantee you one of the new characters. So
I think
that's huge.
I think we may have talked about it on the last episode because we were wrapping up like with some worldwide stuff. But like, if the anniversary for this year had the pity system from the worldwide, I didn't get the gammas during the anniversary. I got the other 3. I would have got them because I spent enough stones to have gotten to the pity. So I would have gotten all the anniversary characters had we had that pity system for the anniversary. So, like we were saying before, whilst it might not be perfect, yeah, it's definitely a nice bonus to have. So yeah, obviously if you are a newer player as well, like there's a ton of stuff. That's the only good thing with global, right? Like as we said before, Roshi kind of an easy skip. They dropped a ton of stuff in this celebration. Like I think in this celebration alone, I've gotten like in the last like 2 weeks or so, I would say I've gotten at least like 400 stones, just from doing all these events and stuff, right? So if you are focused on that goal of the anniversary in February, you'll definitely be able to have a nice amount of stones. You get a decent amount during the anniversary itself. So a lot of people will have a good chance at getting to those pity things. Because again, it is 2,500 stones minus all the SSRs that you are potentially able to trade in, which I know it's not as many if you're a newer player, but it can definitely help
Still good
out
to
as well.
save.
Yeah, exactly.
Still good to save.
So, yeah.
Well, there we go, y'all. Again, one episode here. Catch us back in 2 weeks. At that point, the Dokkan Fest will be out. Likely we'll have the EZA for the celebration as well as everything along with it. So we'll use the character to have a really good idea of how he works and just talk about the celebration in general. Thanks y'all for stopping by, and I guess we're signing out. Peace.
All right. See you next time.